Welcome to the Top Employers podcast series, where we explore HR best practices shaping South Africa's financial services sector. My name is Nathier Jappie, the head of Africa for Top Employers Institute. In this session, we'll be highlighting how organizations like Sanlam are rethinking the employee experience across both blue and white collar roles by connecting employees, fostering engagement, and building skills for the future. Through these conversations, we aim to share insights, lessons, and practical strategies that other HR leaders can apply to create more meaningful, resilient, and future ready workplaces. Joining me today is Ayesha Davids-Bassadien, Organizational Effectiveness at Sanlam. Welcome.
Thank you.
An experienced HR leader with a demonstrated history of working in retail and short term insurance. I wanted to pick your brain on what got you into HR.
I've always had a passion for people, understanding people, but never to the extent of wanting to do psychology or practicing psychology in any way. And the closest match to that was human resources. So, doing the various career assessments during high school, HR came out tops in terms of the most suitable match to my personality and my profile. And I must say that I love what I do. So, I can confirm that I'm very happy in the field that I've chosen, and it aligns to my skills and preferences.
Which area of the HR sphere, because we know it's quite broad,
Yeah.
which part of the HR sphere would you say you're most passionate about?
Absolutely talent management. So I may be in the culture space, the organizational effectiveness space, but I've got this passion for talent management. In my previous role, I was in an HRBP role, but I also led the talent portfolio for that organization. So I've got a passion for talent, for succession, for seeing people progress, putting plans in place to really support employees to meet their ultimate potential. So talent management is my ultimate passion.
Oh, fantastic. So, from what we have seen, Sanlam operates a very diverse workforce, one of the largest workforces that we've seen in South Africa. Um, how is Sanlam creating a structured opportunity for employees at all levels to build meaningful workforce relationships?
So Nadir, that talks to our culture.
Mm.
And one of our human capital strategic themes, we've got three strategic themes. One of the themes is around culture and leadership enablement. And central to that is human centric culture. So you're talking about building meaningful relationships, and that really talks to our culture. So, what have we put in place is at every point in the employee life cycle. So from onboarding to exit, we want employees to feel engaged, to have meaningful relationships within their teams, across functional teams, etc. So if I just talk you through some examples, for our newbies, our new joiners, they are invited to a formal onboarding full day session, and that's where they get to build their first relationships. We've seen a couple of new employees who all joined on the first day that remain friends throughout their journey at Sanlam. We also do employee experience surveys with our newbies. So at key moments, 1 month in, 6 months in, 1 year in, we do a check-in survey with them. How have you landed in the team? Do you feel supported? Do you understand your benefits, your employee value proposition? And that quickly, we are quickly able to identify pain points. We are able to identify what is working, what is not working, and quickly then put in place plans for employees to feel engaged and to feel that they have those meaningful relationships. Just still on your question around structured ways of networking and building connections in Sanlam, we've got a couple of employee resource groups. So, for example, we've got a well established Sanlam Women's Network. We've got a People with Disabilities Network. We've got a number of young professionals networks in the various clusters within Sanlam. And that's just some examples of how we facilitate connections, meaningful relationships outside of your natural teams. So that's just some points of what we've put in place to facilitate that.
I must say I'm very proud to see. I was at the Sanlam Human Capital Conference about a year back, and very surprised and interesting to see that Sanlam had these clusters that focused on development of certain areas within the employee sphere, one of which being neurodiversity.
Absolutely.
At that neurodiversity workshop, we saw so much. So it's something very interesting to see that that's the depth that HR goes into within Sanlam.
Yeah.
Very interesting to
And
see.
that was just a start, Nadir. I mean, our disability team or people with disabilities team run often programs. We invite employees who may have relatives who are on the spectrum into webinars. We bring in specialists. So that journey has continued. I know you attended our conference a year or so back, but that work continues because it's the reality of what our employees face. They come to work, but they're dealing with kids who are on the spectrum or they themselves are on the spectrum. So we put things in place to really support them so that they're able to show up and come to work, and still be present. But we put stuff in place to support them on that.
Mm. No,
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah,
Absolutely fantastic. So just coming back to the experience part, when we look at welcoming new hires on board, as we call them, newbies,
yeah.
have you seen an increase in engagement and impact, or a better onboarding experience for these individuals since these practices have been implemented?
No, absolutely. So the surveys are initiated at key moments. So like I said, 1 month, 6 months, 1 year in. We are able to see where the pain points are. So the human capital teams in each cluster, whether it's Sanlam Investment, Sanlam Corporate, Group Office, they have access to this information and they are able to see what is not working and then immediately fix. So be agile, fix, look at what's not working in the onboarding process and put things in place to improve the experience for our employees. So we have seen that. If we look at our employee experience surveys results, we also run what we call pulse surveys. So since June 2023, we've run 5 pulse surveys. I'm very proud to say we've had, and we partner with an external survey provider on that. Very proud to say that our participation rate is higher than average, and our pulse score, so our engagement score, is in the 80% overall Sanlam. Realistically, there are hotspots in the Sanlam group where we've got work to do, and those human capital teams has access to their results. So they work with their leadership teams, with the excos, with the employees
Yeah.
to fix. So yeah, we've got various data points, as you can hear,
Mm.
where we try and quickly catch what's not working in the employee experience so that we improve year on year.
Mm, mm. That's very good to keep your finger on the pulse all the
Yeah,
time, especially in something or topic that is as evolving as the people space,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah.
it changes all the time. This brings me to, obviously we know pay is important, but feeling that one's work makes a positive impact matters even more. How would you say that employees see the value and purpose in their roles? And how does this influence a motivation or like a form of retention through that at Sanlam?
Yeah. So we've got a very well entrenched strategy cascading process. So it starts with our CEO and board and exco who would set the purpose, who would set the mission, the vision for the next 5 years. And that's cascaded down. So what I mean is there are CEOs of each cluster. They would work with their excos to take the overall Sanlam purpose and unpack what that means for their cluster, and basically develop the strategies for that cluster. Bringing it down to an employee level, we have a well entrenched performance management process. So every employee has KPIs that links directly, or goals we call it, that links to the strategic initiatives. So employees are quickly able to link what they do, their responsibilities, to the overall purpose of the organization. And that's made up of 3 key conversations. The first one being your goal setting at the start of the year. And that's where the line managers need to connect the dots for employees. This is what you do, and this is how it serves our purpose. We do a mid year check in to check if employees are on track, and then we do a final review at the end of the year. Just to talk to your question on motivation and retention. So, how do we motivate employees through
Mm,
the year
mm,
to deliver on their goals so that we ultimately meet our purpose? One example is we have an exceptional and well embedded applause system, which is our recognition system. Each and every employee is enrolled, and you can do peer to peer recognition, line manager to employee, bottom up employee to line managers, and you can recognize your colleagues, and that contributes towards motivation. So that's just one way in which we connect the purpose to what employees do, and we motivate them to drive delivery.
mm. I like the fact that you touched on recognition specifically because we deal with many companies who often find it challenging, number one, to cascade the role or responsibilities of each individual within a large organization to basically cascade into what the organization's overall goal is for the year. And then, secondly, is how to provide recognition to individuals because we all know that monetary incentives are nice, but not everybody ticks on incentivization from a monetary perspective. Sometimes it takes other things like verbal recognition or providing an accolade for outperformance. Is that something that's done at Sanlam as well?
Absolutely. So our applause system sits on the HR portal, which is SAP Success Factors. Internally, we call it My Workspace. So publicly, you can see when Aisha recognizes Nadir, you're able to see that on the portal. You are able to allocate points to that employee. And the most important thing for me is that it's linked to the Sanlam values. So we have 4 values around integrity, collaboration, care, and innovation, and you can recognize your peers, your line manager, your direct report, and link it to a value. So it's really well entrenched across the group, and every employee gets a specific amount of points every month that they can allocate to a colleague.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. And would you say this has improved collaboration amongst colleagues as well?
Definitely,
Mm,
definitely,
mm.
absolutely, and we see it in the stats.
As well.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So this brings me to the next question, which is from we all know that effective communication is critical in any organization, particularly uh, the latest topic, which is around operational safety. Now, if we were to touch on that, how has Sanlam fostered a clear communication and collaboration across the workforce in an organization of your size, where you touch on things like employee well-being and resilience within the organization? How has Sanlam kind of molded that and created that as a strategy?
So your question talks to 2 of our values. You talk about collaboration and you talk about well-being, which really links to our value of care. So if I start on collaboration, we've got a number of systems, processes, tools in place to really enable collaboration within natural teams, but also across functions. So I guess what every organization uses is MS Teams.
Hmm.
Okay, so we use MS Teams. That is our collaboration system in which online meetings happen, etc. But within MS Teams, there are various apps that you can use. So if I just use our team, for example, we use the MS Teams Planner app, and that's how we drive, we manage projects, we drive deadlines, and that's how we collaborate. And then within each team, it depends on the nature of the team. They may have daily stand ups, weekly stand ups. In terms of line manager and employee, they could be weekly connects. So it's a tight and loose principle in terms of how we facilitate collaboration, but there are tools in place to assist employees. But it's not prescriptive in any way. Yeah, but Teams is our main collaboration tool. Then on your question around well-being, like I said, that links to our value of care. So it's something we take very seriously. We partner with a wellness service provider and we focus on a number of wellness pillars. So from financial to physical to lifestyle to mental. And we test, we look at the stats. Obviously, it's confidential. We can't see it at an employee level, but we can see what the main wellness challenges are that our employees face, and financial is one of the top issues. So what we've put in place from a financial resilience perspective is there's online financial support webinars, there's financial coaching, we run programs throughout the year, and that's just the financial pillar. We do the same with physical, with mental, and we have 24-hour, 7 days a week support line for our employees as well. So especially coming out of COVID, we've seen I'm sure you've seen it internationally as well. We've seen a climb in the wellness support that employees need. And we've really, it's critical and integral in our human capital strategy. That it's something that we always focus and drive across the group.
Mm. Yeah, psychological safety's become a very big thing. If I think about how their conversations come into almost every meeting room relating to people at
Yeah.
this point, it is the buzzword. And if I think about where was this all these
Mm.
years, that the recognition to that's come through now. Um, how would you say, or do you see a lot of value come out of having this kind of platform? And what's the utilization been like? Is there a big uptake?
Definitely a big uptake. Obviously, differs across clusters, differs across levels. We've got wellness leads in each cluster that monitors this. So literally, they get reports from our wellness provider. Like I said, it's confidential, so it's not at an employee level, but they can see what are the top themes coming through from a wellness perspective, and it's monitored. Yes, we definitely saw a spike in COVID. And I want to say that that's actually almost escalated the wellness focus within the human capital strategy. So it's something we keep a close eye on, and that's why we've got these wellness leads in each cluster to help human capital track, monitor, support, and give input in terms of what we focus on for the next year.
Mm.
So definitely top of mind.
Mm. Very interesting topic on that, and it's something I can go on for days about as well because it's very close to my heart. But a fantastic initiative as well. Well done. Bringing me to my next point is AI and digital transformation has brought great opportunity, but also a lot of anxiety. And I think from the people that I've spoken to lately, it's more anxiety than opportunity because I think it's early stages. Um, how has Sanlam kind of equipped or created opportunity for employees to upskill in that space from a career path perspective, but also just from the daily usages? Because we all know things like prompting AI, etc., has become a very big thing, and not just necessarily becoming an AI engineer. But how has Sanlam created opportunities for employees to upskill in that space?
So we've just come out of our strategy planning session, which is planning the human capital strategy for the next 2 years.
Mhm.
No surprise, one of the focus areas is digital and data transformation. And within that, AI capability building is, I want to say, our number one focus. So what we've done is we've implemented an AI academy. Each and every single employee within Sanlam Group has access to this learning. It sits on our online learning portal, which sits within the employee HR system, SAP Success Factors. So at any point, employees can go into the AI Academy, identify what specifically they're wanting to build capability on relating to AI, and they can access that at no cost. It's sitting on our learning portal. Then, closer to home, in the human capital team, we've just piloted a AI awareness capability workshop. I was actually part of that workshop where we looked at what is the impact of AI on the HR fraternity. What is coming our way? How do we build our AI capability so that we are future fit, but also that we can support business through this change? Because, like you said, there's lots of anxiety. I wouldn't say resistance, but more anxiety. So, firstly, how do we equip ourselves as human capital so that we can support business through that. Just linking that to your question around careers, we've got a couple of things in place to support employees on building their careers, planning for their careers. On SAP Success Factors, there is a career profile module completely owned by the employee. So the employee takes ownership of their career. They are responsible to update their profile. And this includes, what is my next step? What courses have I done? Am I open to mobility locally, globally? And at any point, your line manager can go and access that and see, what is Aisha wanting as a next step? What is she aspiring to? What are the development areas holding her back from getting there? But the important point is we leave the responsibility to the employee so that they can step into that role of owning their career. And then we've got things like career fairs. We've got our next Sanlam career fair for our employees in October. We bring speakers in, we have online talks. It's really, really awesome. And then we have a career and development hub, which is learning content online on the learning portal that employees can access. So we try to support employees as far as possible, but also leave it in their hands to take ownership of their career
Mm,
and their next steps.
mm. I think autonomy in career decisions is a very big thing as well. Um, when you upskill, do you focus on what kind of skills the business requires, or is it very much orientated towards growing people in general?
It's both. So from a business perspective, there are obviously certain focus areas that we are focusing on or pushing, for example, underwriting, actuarial, etc. So there will always be a focus on skills development linked to what we do as a business, but we do incorporate employee development needs as well. So on the online learning portal, you can actually go in and tailor make your learning journey linked to your development gaps. So that talks to the individual development plans, but always with a lens or focus on how does that link to your
Mm,
role and your next step. So
mm,
it's a two-prong approach.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
This brings me to my next point. So we've seen that COVID has brought or accelerated along flexibility in a big way. I mean, it's all we know. It feels like a lifetime ago, but this is where we are. So, flexibility has emerged also as a key driver towards engagement. And often, even more so than in financial incentives. What has that concept been like at Sanlam across all the workforce? How are you handling uh, the flexible working situation at the moment within your organization?
So definitely COVID triggered that for us as well, as with every other organization globally. We have I would say, a structured, flexible hybrid policy. So there's a hybrid policy in place. Overall, it's 3 days in office, 2 days remote, but there are some variations across clusters, but it's in place. It does get reviewed every year. So once a year, it goes to Exco for review and discussion. Is it working? Is it supporting our objectives? What are we seeing from a productivity perspective? Is hybrid affecting productivity? Um, but absolutely, there's a policy in place. There's a playbook that new employees can access to quickly understand our hybrid, flexible way of work. But like I said, there are differences across the clusters depending on the nature of the role. And that's been clearly communicated to employees. So, definitely something that's well entrenched, understood. We try and survey our employees as well, just to test where employees are at. And I think our current way of working is working for both employees and for Sanlam.
Mm. Has an analysis been done between engagement versus flexibility within your organization? And have you seen any sort of significant jump or decrease based on that?
So we've got a productivity study underway. It's very much in its infancy stage, and the output of that will definitely answer what you're questioning. So there's definitely a project underway to test that. We ran a random sample of employees' hybrid survey last year, and that confirmed that the current policy works for our employees. We are planning a big culture survey for 2026, and hybrid will most likely be one of the key aspects that we will test with our employees as well.
I see.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's obviously a very big topic within the people space at the moment as
Yeah.
well. Is what do we do with that flexible situation? Is it still sustainable going forward? If we change it too rapidly, will we be able to sustain or satisfy our employees who have now become used to that setup as well? But that brings us to our end of our session. Aisha, I just want to thank you for your time and for joining us in studio today. Very interesting to learn a little bit more about your industry, but also Sanlam.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sharing your insights, Aisha. On rethinking the employee experience at Sanlam, it's been great to hear how connection, purpose, skills development, and flexibility are shaping the engagement across your workforce. We hope that these ideas inspire other HR leaders in creating meaningful, future ready workplaces and potentially becoming top employers in the future.